Hello, and welcome to the Discourse on Christ in You, the book. And my name is Angel Christchild, and I'll be joined by my friend. And we will be discussing part 3, lesson 7, the 7th lesson, the creative energy. And this lesson starts on page 173. So I'll just welcome my friend. Welcome, friend, and welcome, listeners.
Welcome. Yes, welcome. And so we're talking about the creative energy in this lesson.
Yes.
Kind of a short lesson, but we'll have some good conversation about the what it really means. So continuing, it is the silent, creative, great one, dwelling in the abyss of each, in whom we live and have our being. I am being taken within the center of life. Again, I am in the center of power, but this time I remember that I have always been.
Imagine the power of feeling that way, of knowing that you have always been. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's almost like he's realized when he passed on and realized that he never was separated from Christ or God. He was one with that creative, all encompassing God energy or beingness.
And I think he recaptured that understanding when he went through a series of healing energy that he talked about previously in the book, the river of life, and that all that, the different colors merging and surging, and the sleep that he went through. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's very good at using analogies and talking about how it felt, how it looked.
Yes.
So I think that's what he's going to talk about here is going to kind of take us into that zone of like, oh, this is what it really is like when you realize the truth after you've shed the garment of the body and shed the illusion, passed on to discover what's the truth, what's real.
Yeah.
And what's
out of the shadows into the light.
So he continues, again, I am in the center of power, but this time I remember that I have always been. The process of creation is always present. It is not a past series of events. There is no sense of past or future, but of a continuous present. So that kind of is what a lot of stuff goes around with some of the stuff I talk about nowadays.
Yeah.
Online is, oh, just be in the present, or the present is the only thing that matters or is real.
Right. That is a very important theme for spirituality in this present day. And remembering too that this book is from the late 1800s. So a lot of these people try to claim these as New Age ideas, but they're not New Age. They're ageless. They're eternal. They're not new.
I like how you put that. Not New Age, but ageless.
Yes.
Rather.
Not New Age, ageless. Yes. Thank you.
Very good.
It's a little like me, ageless.
There's no sense of, okay, so there's only the present, continuous present. I have already described the great silent energy and the lack of color and sound when in the center. But this time, the desire of life is upon me, the sense of lack. I desire beauty and color. I am the positive one, and the virility and the strength of the atmosphere around me lacks its opposite. With the desire, I will, and soon the will, which is the producer, directs my forces. There is a new power about me. I am surrounded by a great arc of light, and I become conscious of a heart within myself. I love, I will, exclamation point. The arc, which was of a varying shade of gold, slowly becomes roseate and glowing, and the electrons of light are no longer colorless, but softened and shaded by pink.
I have a question for you, friend.
Uh-huh.
What do you think caused the colors to come through like that? First it was colorless and then the colors came through.
He desired beauty and color
Right,
and
right. Yeah. He's
love.
I desire beauty and color. So because he desired beauty and color, it became manifested. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So he used his will. It says up here, I love, I will. And he was surrounded by beauty and color. Isn't that nice that he used his will to surround himself with beauty and color instead of trying to take somebody's country or or get power, take the country by storm. Anyway, never mind. There's a lot of that stuff going on right now in our world. It's very disturbing. Like you said earlier, it's a good thing it's not real, that it's an illusion.
Yeah, the appetites some people have, whereas this is a healthy, good appetite to have, is
Yes.
one of desiring love and beauty.
Right, exactly.
And eternal. So I looked up the word rosette, that means rose colored,
Yes, the pink.
pink, which is commonly thought of as colors associated with a love vibration or
Yes.
feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, love expresses the beautiful in color. And furthermore, he says, I am answered in myself. I am both positive and negative, male and female. And out of this consciousness, beauty of form and shade seems born. Yet, as I write this, I know that perfection has always been, though I bring it into evidence by my will and desire.
Well, he brings it into evidence for himself by his will and desire, which is what we have to do as people. We have to bring it into evidence by our own will and desire. And they've talked about that quite often in the book, to let go of our ego wishes and desires and desire to be God, to be the will, to do the will of God, and to strive to be like God.
So everything is perfect as it is. He is just directing his will to see and feel and know it with his creative expression through his desire and will of his of his true beingness, which in that place where he is, having passed on to the next plane of existence, his will is made manifest. Just there's no lag, or there's no time lapse. He's like in the present and sees the reflection of his desires and will made manifest to him. So he gets even more picturesque here when he talks about the colors. He says, colors surround me, and millions of shades seem to evolve from 3, red, blue, and yellow. They harmonize and blend and the place seems full of sound and form. I have desired, I have willed. The colors emanate the sound, or emit the sound, and soon I see the forms of flowers. These colors cannot be seen on the physical plane, though they are full of light and breath. As you see, this is extremely difficult to describe, as also for you to imagine. But the colors breathe and live and are interrelated to sound and form.
Mhm.
I think that's really profound there, that he talks about the colors being so powerful and the sound and it coalescing into a form. He's kind of really communicating that the physical form that we see is really from a spiritual underpinning and a source that is its true origin.
Yes. It's quite hard to imagine, but I know I've heard before of people hearing sounds from colors. And I used to do a lot of sailing, and I've met people who could see the wind in color. They can see the wind on the water in colors.
Yeah. Well, there's more to see, he says. If we our eyes could only see. There seems no division between the moving shades and the appearance of elegant and delightful shapes. Truly, I am in a place of beauty, which is born out of the two in one.
So I have a quote for that. I forgot to mention at the beginning that we'll also be comparing the wisdom from Christ in You to the wisdom from A Course in Miracles, Near-Death Experience, and the Bible. So here's a quote from A Course in Miracles, and that's related to the truly I am in a place of beauty, which is born out of the two and one. So it says, each of us is the light of the world, and by joining our minds in this light, we will proclaim the kingdom of God together and as one. So to me, that related to the two and one. So, and also the light was important. By joining our mind in this light, he was talking about the light of heaven. And A Course in Miracles teaches about the great rays. So that quote was from The Lessons of Love. That's a chapter in the text. And it's called The Alternative to Projection. And in A Course in Miracles, projection is the way we created this illusion. Okay.
So the two, what does the two represent then? Is it people in an illusion and then God, and then is the one like people realizing that Christ is within them and kind of like realizing that it's all just the same energy of oneness?
I believe that to be true. The two would be the two, what A Course in Miracles would call holy sons of God, two holy sons of God, who are joining together with the one, which is, although it's not capitalized, the one, but, and also to me, I was thinking it was that we are one. Two is actually one. A million is actually one. We're all one. We're all joined. And but the place of beauty is the heavenly realms, right? Place of eternal beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say the two would be the Holy Spirit and Jesus, and then one would be God. So I think it's up to interpretation.
I guess he is talking earlier in this chapter about positive and negative, male and female. Mm-hmm. So he is telling about the duality of that, and saying he is realizing that it's all just one, really.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So there is a sense of completeness, a harmony of many parts. The great energy is softened by beauty, and love is the breath of this life.
It
So
makes,
it seems really profound.
gives you a feeling of peace, does it not?
So he is talking about that creative energy.
Mhm.
That's the title of the lesson. So he's saying that love is that breath of life, because that is the energy of God, right?
Right.
So it continues, the teacher speaks, you could not bear this for long, and the meaning will unfold to you. One single drop of dew contains what you have seen with the eye of the soul. The Creator is in the atom. Yes, truly, the whole of God is in the blade of grass.
Well, that's an interesting quote because, we've heard that before in the Bible. And I thought it was important that this quote from A Course in Miracles would help it to confirm. It says, the smallest leaf becomes a thing of wonder, and a blade of grass a sign of God's perfection. And that's from chapter 17 in the text. Forgiveness and the holy relationship and the forgiven world. So this is what the world could look like if we forgave it. If we forgave it for what we thought it should have been, what we thought Jesus should have given to it, how things should be, how they should turn out, and so on. We have to forgive the world for what we thought it was, basically.
Yeah, that's really powerful to say that. So if you saw a blade of grass with this understanding, or a flower, you would cherish it, you would treasure it, and that would be a different way to view the world than what we've seen in the world, in the news as of late. And a message really would be nice for people to know, and to live by.
Yeah,
To cherish all life.
exactly.
So yeah, I like how he likes to use some of those analogies, like the flower or the seed grows up, something as lowly as a blade of grass. Oh, he's saying the whole of God is in that blade of grass. So it's also kind of really saying we need to look to nature and understand we need to cherish more of the earth too, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's really hard not to do that when you're connected to your spiritual source and you see it with different eyes. It's hard to trash it, to continue to be so disrespectful to the earth and people.
Yeah. So by this, know that space is a meaningless word on the true plane of being.
And so in the Course in Miracles, it says, ultimately, space is as meaningless as time. Both are merely beliefs. And that's from right at the beginning of the Course, chapter 1, the meaning of miracles, the illusion of needs. So that's a theme in this book and also A Course in Miracles. Space is as meaningless as time. They're just beliefs that we are holding in an illusion.
Well, when we look at the stars, it looks like there's a huge universe with a great amount of space out there. So I guess that just goes to say that it's quite a enthralling and believable allusion to people who just don't realize these truths in this book and in the Course in Miracles. But when you really open your eyes, as he's encouraging us to do through his example of sharing what he saw with his eyes and the colors and the true expansiveness of this energy and this beingness.
Mhm.
You really open your eyes to what's happening here. It's really powerful to show that, yeah, we are not as far away from God as we think, you know.
Yeah, we're as close as you can be. You can't get any closer to God than we are right now. I find it hard to feel that, but I know logically it's true. It's a matter of, being open to the truth of it and being able to believe in it.
Yeah, that's a powerful one right there. To say we're already as close to God as we could possibly be. And
Yeah,
I know there are people who don't feel that way.
no, I'm one of them. Well, it's not true. Really, I just want more. That's all. I always want more. I know that God's in my life. I have amazing, ridiculous miracles that happen constantly. Little things and big things. So, but I'm hungry for more.
Well, he is reassuring us here towards the last part of this lesson that everything is in the universal soul. The Christ mind alone comprehends.
Mhm.
The one self is creative, having both natures. In heaven, there is neither marriage nor giving to marriage. This is the highest consciousness of Christ.
Well, that's interesting too. The better self from A Course in Miracles, the better self, the ego seeks, the ego seeking a better self, is always one that is more special. That's one of the goals of ego, is to create specialness. And whoever seems to possess the special self is loved for what can be taken from him. Where both partners see this special self in each other, the ego sees a union made in heaven. And that's related to, in heaven, there is no giving or marrying, because there is no separation in heaven. But here we have the separation, or a perceived separation. So even though it says that doesn't happen in heaven, it's pretty important to have that kind of connection here on the earth for the support and the direction and the guidance that you get from being joined in a special relationship with another person. But you recognize that that person is you, and you recognize the light in them. And then it's no longer a special relationship as the ego defines it. It's a relationship that belongs to God. Does that make sense?
Interesting. I've always wondered it. I guess there's some stuff people talk about, like when Jesus himself was a man on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Did he have did he have a relationship with a female, or was he just finding everything that he could have wished for in terms of his connection with Christ, and just stayed a single man?
Yeah, it's really hard to know that, especially with the role that Mary Magdalene played. And I know he had special relationship with his disciples, that's for sure.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of people who study the course seem to have trouble understanding this, but I think it's important to have a spiritual seeker who's walking with you along your path, which is what the apostles were, and Jesus taught them.
Mhm.
And then he left them to do the rest of his work,
Right.
to teach. And we're still called to do that. We're still called to teach.
Mhm. Well, a lot to think about with even that short lesson there.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And also I took from that line, in heaven there's neither marrying nor giving in marriage. This is the highest consciousness of Christ. I thought about sort of possessiveness, and perhaps he was talking about there's no need for possessiveness and specialness and singling someone out, and that would be the highest consciousness of Christ. However, when you're doing God's will, you have to be open to whatever God has in mind for you to do for him, for his plan.
Mhm.
It's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, sorry, go ahead, friend.
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, it's interesting. Jesus certainly had special relationships with people, with many different people, and that's incredible. So
It is, but it's not really about, it's more about what the special relationship is for. If it's to cement the idea of separation, then you have a special relationship that's ego based. But if you have a special relationship that's based in doing God's will and creating love in the world, then you have a special relationship that's God based. But
gotcha.
you're not going to live in this world without special relationships unless you go live, up in the mountains somewhere and eat bugs and, live in a cave and that kind of thing, which people have done. But it just doesn't get you where you want to go, where you're really not able to reach out to others when you're in a situation like that. So I just want to share this wonderful quote with your friend and listeners from A Course in Miracles. I felt it was related to this whole lesson. It says, "For he who loves the world is seeing it for you without one spot of sin upon it, and in the innocence that makes sight of it as beautiful as heaven." So for me, the he is Jesus. That's from the text. And we'll end on that note, unless you have any other comments or questions to pose, friend.
Well, that's a nice way to communicate that. Put a punctuation mark on the lesson to say that how would Christ view the world if he was here? And if
Yes.
you've seen a picture, a painting of Christ, it's always that he has a loving gaze into his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And if we embrace the concept of this book, Christ in You, and believe that Christ is within us, then to have that Christ consciousness within us, we can see through Christ's eyes as well, and view the world with a loving presence and a loving gaze, knowing that it will pass. Whatever is depressing in the news or whatever, it's going to pass. It's an illusion. And Christ is going to be more prevalent, I think, and more embraced in the world. And as long as we view it with love, the world with love.
Agreed. Amen. That's the most important part, is to view it with love, send it love. And of course, miracles teaches that this war and all the pestilence and the crying out and the suffering is a cry for love.
Yeah.
So we give it love. It's crying for love, you give it love. Well, thank you for joining me, friend, and we'll be meeting again next time, and we'll be looking at the next lesson, which is lesson 8, God, the only life. That promises to be very interesting. It's a long lesson, which we'll probably do in 2 parts. So we'll talk to you then, and thank you for joining me, friend and listeners, and bye for now.
All right. Bye for now.